So Donald Trump now wants to put tariffs on medicine. This, bro, he's actually just trying to kill us now. He's actually really just in the cut, just like rubbing his hands, just like, how can I kill these nasty, disgusting, poor people? He just, every single day he wakes up tariffing movies, dolls, pencils, medicine. It's like he just wants all. If we all just rolled over and died right now, I think for the first time in forever he'd find peace. Like if we all just dropped dead as one big unit of a species for all of us, maybe even, okay, hold on. I was gonna say something crazy. But if we all just died right now, I feel like he would truly be at peace for the first time, maybe in forever. So industry reports say that Americans would suffer most if Trump imposes pharma tariffs, sector warns. Industry says levies would hit supply chains, making medicines potentially unaffordable for some U.S. patients. So Donald Trump is now resolved to make medicine as expensive as possible, despite the fact that a lot of his supporters are overweight, diabetic, in need of constant medicine. Chronic illnesses are on the rise all over the West, but particularly in America. And in the wake of all of this, he has decided to make medicine even more expensive. And I guess he's going to like explain this away by saying, the good parts of me, the bad parts are Biden. They're Biden. It's Robin and Biden. It's not really working for him. I don't think anybody, like, MAGA used to, like, really slurp it up hard, but, like, in recent days, honestly, they're not really going as hard as they used to. I mean, I don't want to, like, jinx it, but normally when Trump did bullshit, they would, like, form up, like, Voltron, Go-Go Power Rangers type shit. Now, they kind of just are, like, meekly in the cut, hoping all this blows over, and it's not. Americans would suffer most if Trump imposes tariffs. Industry says levies would hit supply chains, making medicines potentially unaffordable for some U.S. patients. Oh, and medicines are going to be even more scarce. So if you are one of those Ozempic goblins, or you're one of those, what's the other medicine they be taking? I know Monjaro is like the same thing as Ozempic, damn near. What's the other one they be bro, like, I forget. But if you're one of those people who, you know, likes to consume foreign medicines, it's about over for your ass. I'm not even gonna lie. Americans would suffer most if Donald Trump imposed tariffs on imports of pharmaceuticals, as medications would become more expensive and potentially unaffordable for some people, drug makers have warned. Drug makers have been braced for targeted border taxes similar to the 25% levies on steel, aluminum, and car imports. After the U.S. president threatened to hit the sector and announced an investigation last week, Trump hinted at a possible reprieve for companies, saying they would be given time to move their operations to the U.S. But after that, it's going to be a tariff wall put up and they won't be happy about it. So it's lose-lose either way. I don't know if he acknowledges the fact that tariffs are going to make things more expensive, but he seems resolved to believe that there's going to be some kind of long-term benefit. And there's not. Like, you cannot run away from global trade. You just cannot. If he was smart, he'd actually be trying to figure out cheap ways to build up a manufacturing base based on machinery to replace the cheap Chinese labor that affords us affordable and cheap goods. But instead of doing that, he has decided to just wage, like, trade war with, of all the people, Xi Jinping, and he's never beat him in life. And we're stuck in the midst of Donald Trump's ego and incompetence mixing together to create this shit. Giovanni Barbella, the global head of strategy and supply chain at the Swiss multinational Sandoz, said tariffs would lead to supply disruptions and in the medium term price increases, hitting U.S. patients the hardest. Sandoz is one of the world's biggest makers of generic drugs, cheaper versions of branded medicines whose patents have expired. The majority of prescription drugs sold around the world are generic. We are producing products on a very tight margin, Barbella said. That's the nature of our industry. So ultimately, higher production costs, including the cost of tariffs, will lead to higher prices. He added, there can even be more supply disruption because some players can leave the U.S. market and focus on markets where they can make more business. So ultimately, the risk is that the U.S. patient will suffer the most. So obviously, so clearly, there are already persistent drug shortages in the US, the UK, and other countries, and tariffs would potentially exacerbate that by disrupting the long and complex global supply chains. So now people are going to die because of tariffs. They're not going to have access to the medicine that they need to keep their conditions under the surface to try to manage them as best they can, or to prevent them altogether. Donald Trump is now basically forcing shitloads of people either into the worst stage possible of their chronic illnesses, or forcing people into having to brace for an oncoming chronic illness. Like, can't take my medicine no more, so here's what's going to end up happening to me. This man couldn't care less, though. Mark Samuels, the chief executive of Medicines UK, which represents Britain-based generic drug makers, said, in an insurance-based system as the US has, if medicine costs increase and insurance runs out, then that does increase the risk that people either can't afford to complete their cancer treatments or pay for it altogether. And this is the guy, by the way, who had a concept of a plan for healthcare. While making medicine more expensive, he also only has a concept of a plan, as in zero plan. This is, bro, conservative voters are cool with this. They think this is appropriate leadership. They think this shit makes sense. A 25% tariff on pharmaceutical imports would increase drug costs in the country, the United States, by almost $51 billion a year, raising prices by up to 12.9%. if passed on. According to an analysis by the accountancy firm EY that was commissioned by the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, the main U.S. industry group. In an attempt to head off looming tariffs, the Swiss drug makers Roche and Novartis are investing $50 billion and $23 billion respectively in the U.S. in coming years. Britain's AstraZeneca announced a $3.5 billion investment in November and said last week it was shifting the production of some medicine sold in the U.S. from Europe to the States. None of this is going to have any significant effect. Donald Trump is still going to, because here's the thing, a lot of these, products, maybe even medicines as well, the production of them rely upon certain things made abroad, right? And as a result, the medicine can still be affected by tariffs if the goods needed to create the medicine or even put them in a simple bottle, right? Maybe even the bottle itself might be like manufactured abroad. So now if the bottle has a tariff on it, the medicine is still going to be more expensive than it should be. None of this changes anything. And Donald Trump is not lifting these universal tariffs. He's maintaining them. He's not sitting here saying, okay, well, if you kiss the ring, I'll remove the tariff. No, instead what he's doing is, you will accept my tariffs. You will say nothing about them. You will move these companies to the U.S. You will still face a tax, a price increase because I'm tariffing everything the fuck else, right? Which impacts prices. You're going to enjoy nothing, benefit nothing, you're going to get nothing good out of this, and you're going to like it, is what Donald Trump is basically saying. And the working class Americans who voted for him to make their lives easier are now going to find themselves in total and absolute hell. With chronic illnesses on the rise all over the West, this is the kind of bullshit we're dealing with. Tariffs on pharmaceuticals. Now, you know full and well Donald Trump is a supposed billionaire. And he has an entire legion of meat riders willing to donate, millions, if not even billions of money toward him simply because in their mind, he's the Messiah. He never has to lose an inch of sleep over whether or not he's going to be able to afford medicine to keep him alive. However, those who voted for him might find themselves at death's door as a result of his decision making. Donald Trump is trying to destroy the working class through class warfare by making medicine and many other items infinitely more expensive, and he does not care. He doesn't care. This man is trying to kill the country. This is what he considers to be good leadership by making America great again. He's literally casting millions to death. And in his mind, that's making America great again. If I was a Republican politician, I would get the fuck out of Dodge. I would retire. I'd be like, look, it's been real. It's been cool. I fought with y'all, but I'm out. I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm not dealing with this. I wouldn't. For what? Why would I be a part of this? Do you understand? If people are poor, can't afford medicine, can't buy goods, have to pay these student loans, all of this is going to cause a recession. People are going to die. This administration cannot last 4 years. It just cannot. By the time the 4 years are up, most people are not going to vote Republican. And yet they're still going to win the upcoming election. I promise you, they are going to fix the results. And the nation is going to have to sit there and figure out, what do we do? Because we don't want this guy in office, and yet he's staying in office. What the fuck do we do? That's exactly what's going to happen. So the working class who voted for Trump can sit there and pat themselves on the back. What an accomplishment. What an accomplishment.